Thanks, Luke. Thanks for coming on.
No, it's a pleasure. It's good to be here.
Yeah, look, you've got a background in chiropractic, exercise physiology, strength and conditioning.
Yes.
And you've just become a director of the In Balance Pilates Reformer course.
Yep.
It's quite a list of achievements. What's your journey been like to get to this point?
Yeah, look, so it's been a long journey. I've been in the profession primarily around movement for about 25 years now. So, as you said, I started off in exercise physiology, worked in that profession for a little bit, enjoyed it. Actually played both sides of the EP sector. So I was in an insurance company first. So I got to manage claims, got an understanding of like CIRA and NDIS and all that type of stuff. And then I started working in clinical practice as an EP, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Felt like I wanted a little bit more. So I went and studied chiropractic at Macquarie University, which kind of changed my way of thinking of treatment, which I'm sure we'll go into. When I was at Macquarie University, I always felt like I was the black sheep in the group. Because although I was studying chiropractic and it was very method-based, like diversified, Gonstead, it was very much driven towards techniques. I felt like there was so much more to being a chiropractor than being a spine cracker or whatever it might be. After that, when I came out, I worked for a few people, then opened up my own practices because I had my own idea of what healthcare should be and really enjoyed that. So then we opened up multiple clinics around Sydney. And we ran that for quite some time. COVID for me kind of made me rethink my life. 2 young kids. I wanted a smaller footprint, simplify life a little bit. So we got rid of the clinics. I still work as a contractor. And then just looked for other avenues to go down as well. So strength and conditioning came up. So I'm a level 2 ASCA strength and conditioning coach. Ended up going back to university and doing a master's in high performance sport at UTS. So I've had some experience working in rugby league at NRL level. And that's been fun. So I've been able to use both medical experience and then high performance and combine them together, which is what I really enjoy. And as you said, the imbalance education, that was an opportunity that was thrown at me by a friend who I've done some other work with. And honestly, Pilates wasn't on my radar. But then I saw an opportunity because as a practitioner, we often refer out to ancillary things or like things that are going to support. I was referring out to Pilates, but I just found we weren't speaking the same language. So I thought, what better opportunity than to provide education and rebuild the way education is created for Pilates. And that's why I jumped on board, and it's booming at the moment. It's going really well. The fun part for me is working with the accreditation bodies like AusActive Australia, and we've actually remodeled a lot of that pathway level 1 to create hopefully better Pilates instructors moving forward.
So those Pilates instructors that go through that course, they get fully accredited?
Fully accredited, pathway level 1, which means in the pathway system, a lot of the education systems that are out there when you get accredited are pathways level 2, which means you have to come in with a minimum of a personal trainer's cert. So you cert 3, cert 4. In order to then become qualified as a Pilates instructor. Our course goes straight to pathway level 1 because of how much detail is in our theory component. So I've built out this theory component that goes all the way from not just teaching you anatomy and physiology. We go so deep into the physiology, so when you're coaching or teaching Pilates, and we talk about alignment's something we talk about a lot because I've got an issue with the word, similar to alignment in chiropractic. We create an understanding around what that might mean. So when you coach it, it's going to be contextually different for everyone in front of you. So we're not about creating a repertoire or rote learning. We create critical thinking in our course. And when we start from the introduction, we go anatomy, physiology, we go into a systems overview, and we can connect all the systems. So even though we're doing a movement, how does your endocrine system now affect what you're doing in class?
So you go in that much detail? We
go into a lot of detail. Perception. Throughout the course, I sprinkle in talks. So I sit at home and I create a slideshow, and then I talk at the slideshow. And they might go for an hour, they might go for 2 hours. I've created one on perception, which I feel even as like a chiropractor or allied health practitioner, if we understand perception and we understand other people's perception, we can treat more effectively. So if you think about, we're sitting here right now, how do I know what you're feeling? How do I build trust and rapport with you as we have a conversation? The lights that are beaming down on us, we've obviously got cameras and mic'd up. So my exteroception of what I'm feeling around me, contextually, I feel quite comfortable. You've created a nice warm environment. The way you've dressed, and it's very similar to the way I'm dressed, so automatic.
We've both got a bald head.
We've both bald head. I can put my glasses on, and then all these mirror neurons.
But being able to notice those things.
Yeah, and then our mirror neurons, which live inside of us. So when you're watching sport and you watch a game, it's like your brain feels like you're playing that game. So one thing we try and get across in our education system is that you're not teaching Pilates. You're coaching another human to build autonomy in order to take control of their own health. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So we're creating coaches, not instructors. Because if I said instructor, what does instructor bring up in your head?
Well, somebody just goes into the class and teaches a routine sort of thing over and over again.
Yeah, but in any class you might have anywhere from 7 to 20 people, right? And then the question comes up, well, how do we make it personalised for everyone in that class? Because it's not about instruction now. It's not about going around and telling everyone something different depending on them, but it's about reading the room. It's about reading facial expressions, body language. It's about the art of communication as a coach. That might even include, like, where do we put people in a class? Where do people put themselves in a class? Who's in the back corner? Who's up front? Because it's often where people are going to situate themselves in the class will be dependent on their confidence, how long they've been doing the class, who might need a little bit more help. And then we teach people how to question, not so much tell people what to do, but question somebody to understand whether they need support. Because often we think we have to fix everything, right?
Yeah.
So we try and teach the fact that we are facilitators, not fixers in any coaching strategy.
And people learn better that way as well.
Yeah.
And that can be applied to both Pilates and the world of chiro or allied health in general. When you say you were the black sheep back at university, I feel like a lot of chiropractors these days, or when somebody hears the word chiropractic, that's what they think. They think the general thing where you go into a chiro and you get a 5-minute treatment where you're getting cracks all over your body and you're walking out. We've tried to adopt a similar sort of strategy or technique to what you're describing, where somebody that comes in to see us isn't just getting an adjustment, they're getting an assessment. We're looking at their body as a whole, we're fixing any biomechanical issues they might have, and then giving them some homework to do at home. And then eventually the goal is to reduce the reliance on constant treatment, where you come in once a week or once a fortnight and build that confidence within the patient. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, 100%. So my favourite thing you said there was the client not building a reliance on you.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a big believer that the only person who can take care of someone's health is the individual, is the person. Our role is to educate and facilitate. So I'm a big believer. My purpose is to educate and facilitate. So even in a chiropractic space, for example, the way you put it, like, we'll go through an assessment. For me, my assessment has changed dramatically over the years. It's a lot simpler than what it used to be. I used to go through a barrage of testing. Now, if it's something like concussion management and it's more neural, then 100% I will go down into a lot more detail. But if we're now talking chronic pain, which is probably the main thing a lot of people see us for, we've got to move away from the biomedical approach to pain. And this is one thing I'll teach at UTS to exercise physiologists, is that when you're addressing pain now, we're not looking for tissue in trauma. So I love my biomechanics from a high performance standpoint. If I want to make someone faster, I need to look at some biomechanics. If I want to make someone a better lifter, I definitely need to look at force vectors and where I'm moving weight, etc. If I'm trying to resolve back pain, now what I do is I almost remove biomechanics. I remove OH&S principles. I remove a lot of that now, because if the discomfort has been there for greater than the acute period, now what we're considering is that it's no longer tissue in trauma creating nociceptive input. Now we're starting to look at central sensitization or peripheral sensitization, which is often more to do with the brain perceiving threat, either true threat or the potential threat. So a lot of my assessment in clinic now for back pain has been actually doing activity. It might be taking them straight on onto a gym floor. And I'll give you the story of a guy who cleans pools.
Yeah.
He goes, I've got to carry chlorine bags and buckets and salt. And he goes, and it kills when I pick it up. I said, how are you picking it up? You know, the way I'm meant to. It's okay, well, I put a 20 kilo weight on the floor and he picked it up. I said, did you have pain? He goes, yes. I said, okay, so is there any other way you can pick that up? And he goes, well, only the wrong way. I'm like, well, show me the wrong way. Because in his head...
He's too scared to...
In his head, he was always told, if you lift with this technique, you're going to hurt yourself. Yeah. So he's adopted the correct lifting technique, which is now causing his pain. So what he did, he auto-regulated himself, slumped, bent over, picked it up, and I said, how was that? And he goes, nervous, but I feel okay. I said, good, put it back down, pick it up another way.
Yeah.
And we continued to do that over the course of a week. He came back 2 weeks after that appointment. He goes, mate, like, my life's different.
Yeah,
because I'm no longer thinking about technical stuff. And there's episodes where they will feel it, right? Because it takes a while to recondition the way the brain works, right? That cortical smudging.
Yeah.
But over that period of time now, he's now realised that there is no right way to do things. And this is why I love biomechanics, but I do move away from it a little bit in a clinical setting, because we understand everyone's movement is so different, and people have to build up their own autonomy in movement. And also, go down the rabbit hole of it, is error detection and the way we work. So every time we go to drink this water, fluid, hydration in front of us right now, and I pick it up, from A to B might be the same, but every movement in between will never be the same. It changes every time. And we're designed that way because if we always did exactly the same mechanical action, we'd wear everything away and we'd get really fatigued.
That's a good way of putting it. Yep, yeah. That makes sense.
So even if we're in the gym and we're deadlifting now, which people panic with a bad back, and everyone's very finicky on the movement, I'm like, okay, there's a couple of key things I want. Keep the weight close to you.
Yep.
Just lift it up. But we're going to move differently every time. So now if I put someone on a gym floor and I assess them for back pain, all I really want to see is, what are the big rocks I can go after first? Are they doing something completely against the laws of physics or the laws of motion, which I'm a physics guy, so I like that. And if they're not, and if there's some other discomfort there, then I know it's probably not a mechanical issue. I'm now starting to think there's a sensitivity to threat, and I have to then understand what that might be. So then the assessment bit kind of breaks down a little bit. From a legal standpoint, I'll always still do a cluster of orthopedic assessments. And from someone who taught orthopedic assessment, I still look at it and just think, when you look at the sensitivity and specificity rates and all that type of stuff, and you can cluster them together and they might get a little bit better. But I'm still like, the amount of times I've tested a shoulder and I'm like, all I want to know now is it strong? Is there pain? Is it weak without pain? And then once you start looking at those things, you can automatically start thinking, well, if they've got weakness and there's no pain, I'm now starting to think there's a underlying neural effect. But if there's weakness with pain, what tissues around here cause pain? If it's an acute episode, but if it's now chronic, what's now happened up in the cortex? Is there some smudging? Is there a shift of like these neural networks up in the brain? Is there a fear avoidance behavior now that we have to break down? And you can usually just look at micro expressions in the face before they do that. And then when we go down the rabbit hole of like then the treatment, my treatments now, I still like manual therapy. Do I believe it does as much as what people think it does? Probably not. But I'm a big believer that people have to feel like they're getting what they came for.
Yes, that's right.
And that for me is the most important part of using hands. And the other big thing is touch, pressure, deep pressure. A lot of people see us for pain, but associated with pain is anxiousness, stress, depression, a feeling of loneliness and not being held. It's like, for some people, I love to get a massage because I like pressure. I like doing weights. Yeah, it's fun on the body, but it's the pressure. I wrestle my kids before we go to bed. My wife's like, you're going to stir them up. The pressure calms them down. It's why people sleep with a weighted blanket on them. Right? Calms you down. So we calm the nervous system down. You calm the endocrine system down, so that HPA axis, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, now goes, we don't need to rush out adrenaline and cortisol anymore. right? So we actually, through manual therapy, you can calm down the endocrine system. It's like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you see it with patients when you do it with them and you put your hands on them and you give them that element of touch. Sometimes that's all they needed, even if it's not much that you've done for them, they still feel a lot better when they walk out.
And on that note as well, there's times where you might just do an assessment with somebody and you say, I just want you to know, everything I'm looking at is okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing dangerous going on.
It puts them at ease immediately. Yeah.
They come back in the next time, they go, I don't know what you did, but I feel great.
It happens all the time.
All the time, because the power of the mind.
Yeah.
When people ask, what's my purpose? When I had a clinic in Potts Point, we had artwork commissioned because everyone kept saying you need to put your purpose on the wall, like your mission statement downstairs, which I love. Yeah. And I thought, I'm going to do it in a picture because for me, I love neurology and physiology and connection. So we had an artwork sprayed of this whole brain, but it's in hypercolour. So the brain's in the middle.
Nice. Yep.
Underneath it are grayscale hands for support. So the hands represent us as practitioners. We're not the centre of the universe.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
The clients.
That's cool.
We're the grayscale. We're in the background supporting. But behind it are neural synapses everywhere, because that's the art of communication, right?
Yep.
So that for me is like, if we can build connection and make someone feel safe, so we talk a lot about psychological safety, you've created a beautiful space where you walk in and automatically you're like it's beautiful. Yeah. I feel safe, right? It's very soft, it's smooth. And when you get that sense when you walk in, automatically your threat level calms down, because there's pessimistic animals like people go, no, the glass half full. I'm like, but you only know that because you first have to address whether you're safe. So you're pessimistic first, then you become an optimist and move towards opportunity. This is why when I go back to perception, the way we set up a clinic, the way we set up a Pilates space,
plays a big role.
It's incredible, the lights that have come down, the way we dress, the way we greet people. Yeah. So it's all involved in it.
Yeah, it has, because you walk into a traditional medical centre and sometimes you feel worse than... that's right, exactly right. Yeah. And you're met with somebody sometimes that doesn't want to be there, and they're very short with you, and it feels very clinical. And it doesn't, in my opinion, I don't think it helps the prognosis of the patient or their confidence in the person that they're walking in to see.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, there's times where I'll go into a clinical setting. Yeah. And that sigh. Yeah. Yeah. Like, why do we do that? Yeah. Like, and that's the physiological side. That's what calms us down. So just reflexively, you have a thought about going to a medical session,
and straight away
go, because you're trying to calm the whole adrenals down. Yeah. It is incredible.
So you talk a lot about training, I guess, the software or the nervous system. Is that what you mean by like neurophysiology and trying to relearn a movement pattern?
Yeah, so it's the movement pattern. So the history there was, I used to do all the movement screens. And it's to no discredit of FMS, SFMA, or like I even taught ART. And the more I studied things, the more I started seeing gaps in the foundations of what they were teaching. Great systems. Yeah. But then when we look at movement patterns, what is the right movement pattern? Because I'll always go back to then Socratic questioning about, I'm that annoying guy in class when someone asks me a question. I'm like, well, I need more context. So one of my philosophies is I need context over content. So the content is movement patterns, right? Yeah. Now I need context. So if I'm trying to correct someone's movement pattern, a movement pattern for a squatting athlete or a weightlifting athlete is going to be very different to a hurdling athlete. Because one, I'm going to need internal rotation on their lag leg if they're going over a hurdle, but I'm not going to need that on their front leg. In a weightlifting athlete who has to hit the floor, I'm going to need huge amounts of internal rotation bilaterally in their hips, but not a massive amount of external rotation. So then I'm going to need valgus collapse as they hit the bottom. Do you know what I mean? And then biomechanically or functional movement patterns will say, we don't want that knee to collapse. But I'm like, but we need that because that's how we drive out of the hole through adductor magnus.
So that makes a lot more sense to me.
And all the rotators. So when we're correcting movement patterns, it's got to be very specific and contextual to the task that we're trying to achieve, which is going to be different for everyone. Which is why when I go back through the 7 steps of SFMA or 6 of FMS, I look at them and go, but it's not conducive to what they now need. Yeah, people argue with that, but
Yep.
Yeah.
You also talk a lot about, I heard you say analogy online once, principles and not methods, and I really liked it. Can you explain that again?
Yeah, so this is one of my favourite ones. I feel like a method, if you think about a method, give me a method that you can think of right now. Sorry to put you on the spot.
In terms of like treatment?
Yeah.
Like a diversified method, yeah.
Okay, so if you take a
active release technique for people that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So whatever that method is, teaches specific rules.
Yeah.
If this occurs, and here, you have to go here, here, and here. You can do it short lever, you can do it long lever, right? But it's giving you a bit of a recipe, right?
Correct.
That's even considering that this happens in the first place.
That's right.
It's a whole nother kettle of fish. If it's soft tissue work, if you can do effleurage, you can do deep pressure, you can do active release. But what we're doing is we're starting with the technique. We're not starting with the problem. What's the individual coming in for in the first place, right? Now, if you start with the method is closed as fixed, right?
Yep.
And the method are usually man-made constructs, which means D.D. Palmer, BJ, they created the chiropractic world, right? Gonstead created his method. Joseph Pilates created his method. Wasn't even called Pilates, right? He created a method. Mike Leahy created his method of active release technique.
Yeah.
All brilliant, and I applaud him for it. But where we fall down is that with any man-made construct, it is flawed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And as the evolution of research evolves, of our experience, of our understanding of the human body, the understanding of pain, etc., the methods remain constant. Right? So if we base everything on principles, because at the end of the day, we are movement practitioners, right? Why don't we just understand the principles of movement? What dictates our movement? And there's constants universally. That if we understand the constants, gravity, ground reaction forces, friction.
That doesn't change.
They don't change.
Yep.
But what we know changes are variables around movement. So if gravity is always acting upon me, now we think about how do we learn to walk? Gravity.
Gravity, yep.
Right?
Yep.
But we don't think about that. We just go,
Yep.
our proprioceptive system kicks in, our vestibular system, and I'm like, but it needs to act against something.
Yeah.
I can't teach you a method to walk. It's gravity, it's the universe, it's our world that teaches you to upright against force, right? Can I manipulate that a little bit? Sure. I can make you more stable. How do I do that? I can give you a table to hang on to. In Pilates, if we're doing a hollow rock or a long lever L-sit, gravity is the same. What can I do? Physics, I can reduce my lever length. My moment arm decreases, less rotational force at the hip and the abdomen. So I can start solving problems by understanding what I can't change, what I can change. And this is why your principles with any movement, neurology, physiology, whatever it might be, then opens up a world of many different methods, depending on how curious you want to be.
Yep. And is that something that you teach in the Pilates course as well, right?
That's
the basis of the
That
foundation.
is the basis of our course, is that the one thing I'll say in our first day is that, yes, you will come out as an accredited Pilates teacher, mat, reformer, whichever course you've chosen, right? Or both. But you'll be so much more. Because if you can understand the principles, you can teach across multiple platforms.
Is that what you feel like the industry was lacking? Is that why you decided to go down that path and start this? Or?
Yeah, I just felt like looking at the industry and where a lot of the education lies is on very particular teachings. It's all about you need a neutral pelvis. Okay? You need to draw your belly button to the spine.
Everyone says that.
And it's like, I'm looking at these going, if you can't define it,
Yeah.
which is another key thing I'll say to any of our students, if you can't define it, don't teach it. And we'd see things like very particular movement. Go, well, don't call that Pilates if their hip isn't here and here and here. I'm like, but what are you hoping to achieve? Well, we're trying to get strength. What type of strength? Right? Because now we break down all the strength.
Yep.
The only strength you're going to get doing Pilates is strength endurance. You're not going to get max strength. You might get a little bit of hypertrophy depending on your training age, etc. But you're getting strength endurance, which is fantastic,
true.
right? So if your goal is to get strength endurance in the glute, and if the technique looks wrong, but they're still hitting the glute, Am I going to change that?
There's no need to, right?
There's no need. But on social media,
Yeah.
people
They'll
are
tear you
losing their
apart
minds.
for it. Yeah.
Will tear me apart.
Yeah.
Because it's ego driven, because they want it to look beautiful and clinical. I want it to be effective for the individual.
Mm-hmm.
So we've ruffled a few feathers.
I can imagine.
But I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, my clients, although they are Pilates teachers, eventually are the people who are seeking care and help. And the Pilates industry is just going to keep booming. We're an aging population. If we can keep people moving on reformer or mat work, and we're creating instructors that can care for people, fantastic. I don't mind upsetting people.
That's the goal then.
That's the goal.
How beneficial is Pilates for everyone then?
Look,
Or does it depend? Yeah.
it depends. Now, the first thing I'll always say is, if you don't enjoy Pilates, don't do it.
There's many other things that you can do.
Everyone's always will ask the question, should I do yoga or Pilates?
I get it all the time.
My answer is always the same. Which one would you enjoy doing? Do that one, because it's more about consistency and enjoyment.
Yeah.
It's got to be sustainable.
Yeah.
You can get similar results in both.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you'll have people on either side go, no, yoga does this.
Yep.
I'm like, it's all movement. They all require a certain type of breathing sometimes. They all require long sustained holds. Some require a little bit more power. Like if you look at yin yoga and vinyasa,
Yeah.
yin's long sustained holds.
That's right. Yep.
Breathe into it. What are we actually doing there? Well, we're desensitizing spindle sensitivity. It's like stretching, right? We're not lengthening tissue. We can't do that.
No. Yep.
But we're desensitizing spindle sensitivity to allow us to push into it a little bit more. Yin yoga.
Yep.
Now I'm doing floor work on the mat, doing Pilates, and we're doing a long sustained stretch. What am I doing?
Same thing.
It's the same thing, but they're two different methods. This is why methods for me are just like, call it whatever you want. Core stability, right? Can I get core strengthening doing yoga?
Absolutely.
Can I get it doing Pilates?
Yep.
Can I do it doing powerlifting? I don't care where you get it, as long as you get it and you're happy getting it that way. And this is why, like, at the end of the day, it's not the method. The modality needs to fit the person's lifestyle. And like, we're here for a short time, right? Be happy in what you do.
Yeah.
And if you like doing Pilates, go and do Pilates.
Go for it.
I'm attracted to it because I feel like there's so much variation in that world. And I understand, because it's booming as well, it's our best chance to get our hands on so many great instructors coming through to change the health of the world at the moment.
I don't think I've heard of another course that approaches it in that way. I'm not an instructor myself, but from what I've heard from the instructors, I think it's a very basic level of learning, and it doesn't delve deep into these sorts of like philosophies and issues.
Look, and that's our goal. We're big on the fact that we understand what sets us apart. We didn't want to create another course that was just, here's your anatomy, here's your physiology, here's your 45 mat techniques, here's your 50 reformer techniques, good luck, off you go. Because you'll see it here. You might have people who love doing Pilates and could show me all of those exercises.
Yeah.
But it's coaching.
Yep.
Coaching, and it's the same as a chiropractor. I can teach you how to manipulate, I can teach you how to assess, but if your rapport with the client is terrible, you're not going to get a result.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We've got a whole module on the art of communication, building trust and rapport.
Yep.
And we go into a lot of detail around coaching, cueing, understanding at what stage in someone's training history would you bring in certain types of cues as well. When to just sit back and be silent. Because like when we were starting chiropractic, right, it's all about fixing the misalignment.
Yeah, I don't like that. And again, there's a lot of people that still follow that and say that to patients, and we see it all the time. Patients come in having seen a previous chiro, and I can think of one right now. He sees a chiro that's about half an hour from here, and occasionally when he's working in the area here, he comes in and gets treatment from us. Two very different approaches to chiropractic care. The current chiro that he's been seeing for the last 20 years has put it in his mind that if he doesn't come when there's an issue and comes to see him 3 times that week, he's going to be a mess. And you see the patient walking in full of anxiety, and he can name the segments that he believes need adjusting. And if we don't manage to adjust it, he gets all anxious about it. And then he comes back that same afternoon.
Yep.
And so trying to convince him that that's not the correct way is very difficult.
And what
it's a constant battle.
Yeah, and like, I mean, that's something I dealt with, you know, for a long time in clinic. And this is where when we start looking at perception, we start looking at interoception and how the narrative of a practitioner will affect the insular cortex, right? Which is where we get a lot of interoceptive feel. And I've had many clients that go, my C3 on my C4 is out.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, cool. That's pretty powerful superpower stuff that you've got going on here. But at the same time, you can't discredit it because that's their reality, right? But it goes to show that depending on the purpose of that practitioner, which sounds like it's a lucrative one, will create a narrative that creates kinesiophobia, which is something I teach a lot of students, is that you'll never finish a course without understanding kinesiophobia, which, if we just break it down, the fear of movement. So often what we see in the pain cycle, particularly when it goes to chronic pain, is that the first practitioner you speak to will determine the prognosis. Now, if you go and see someone who says it's because you're lifting with improper technique, and if you keep doing that, your disc is going to push out the back, we need to manipulate it, blah, blah, or adjust it, whatever it might be. And if we don't do it, you'll end up in a wheelchair. Right? Now, if they see that person, the likelihood of them recovering quickly is going to take quite a long period of time, as opposed to someone who would work more similar to us in that we would build autonomy in them, build safety. We would challenge them a little bit, just enough that we push them into threat, but understand that they can overcome it, and that's how people resolve. But when we go into a narrative of fear, right, which is marketing, create a problem, here's your solution, right? Now, but what it does, it takes away autonomy. It takes away their own control.
And confidence and
everything, which means they now start to catastrophize their situation. And they start saying, fuck, if I don't see him, he's told me I'm going to end up in a wheel, like, it's not going to be good, it's just going to get worse, right? So now they start outlaying money, which now becomes a financial burden, right? Now, because they've been told not to go back to the activity they like, they get disuse, depression, etc., which only exacerbates their fear of the movement more.
And it's just
this perpetuating loop. So now,
how do you break that?
It's a great question. This is where I love working. The first thing you have to do is, in my opinion, and where I used to go wrong, is I would try and do it all in one session. The first thing you have to do is build a relationship so strong with this individual that you've got trust. And this is where the communication strategy comes down. It's not about the technique you now use with that individual moving forward, it's about sitting with each other. So the first thing, if you and I were here, this table would not be here. I'd remove all barriers. I'd be looking at the room that I'm in. I would dress exactly how I am today in clinic. I'm always very casual. I would often mirror the individual. And if it's a male versus female, I would change my body positioning a bit. If it's a male, I definitely wouldn't sit front on. I would angle our chest off the way we're sitting right now.
That's how we sit downstairs.
I would always provide access to the door. I would never cut off where you're sitting to the door because I need you to feel safe. I would often leave the door open, and if the person wants the door closed, I invite them to close the door. The first thing I need to do is create an environment that you feel so safe in, and then I just let you talk and I shut up.
That's a mistake a lot of young chiropractors make. They try and prove themselves a lot on the first consult and end up talking way more than they need to, and they don't develop or build that rapport with the patient.
And all the studies will show, even in GP practices, it's about 3.5 seconds before someone interrupts. So like I had an uncle who was a doctor who passed away, who always just said to me, he goes, in order to diagnose or in order to understand a client, all you have to do is listen. You've got 2 eyes, 2 ears and 1 mouth. So just look, listen and shut up, and they'll tell you everything you need to know. And that's really where assessment comes down. You might have some guiding questions, or often what I'll do now with the art of AI and hiding software, I'll always ask for consent. Do you mind if I record? Yes, and I put it on. So now I don't even have to make notes. But what I'll always do, I'll just keep a pen and paper. And as they say something and I'm keeping eye contact, I'll just jot down a point that I want to come back to, but I won't interrupt them because I want them to stay on a flow. But often what I'm looking for in order to change that loop it's almost going down a psychological path of what's their emotional connection to this? Like, what's more important, staying in pain? Wouldn't you want to move away from that? Like, what's driving you? What's your driving force? I always remember a story about a client who saw me. He was quite overweight, in a lot of pain. He wanted to have kids, but his weight was so great that he'd have issues.
Yeah, having kids.
And before we even got into the training, I just said to him, tell me what's going to keep you driving forward when things are going to get hard. They're going to get hard. And he goes, I just want to take care of my health. I'm like, why do you want to take care of your health? Why?
Yeah.
Why? And anyway, long story short, I got down to the fact that he wanted to have kids. And I'm like, okay. So when I say kids or father, is what we get, father. How does that make you feel? He goes, like I've just got a ball of energy. Beautiful. To lose his weight, we moved away from conditioning because we did a lot of metabolic testing on him. We did strength training for 3 months and he dropped a hell of a lot of weight.
Yep.
But in those heavy sets, when I was building his strength up, and he's like, I'm cooked. I'm like,
Yeah.
father.
Yeah.
He goes, fuck yeah. Straight back under, keep him on track. But if I didn't build that trust and rapport up with him at the start, when everyone else says, don't lift heavy, don't do this, he would never have connected with me or trusted me. And if I don't have his trust, I don't have any right to be telling him what to do. Because if anything, he's looking at me as a threat, not as the opportunity. So that's where it comes down to is, doesn't matter what technique you have, doesn't matter what method you use, if you don't have trust and rapport, you won't get any result with the client. You won't have that ability to change their thinking.
Yeah. That's the most important thing then, building trust and a relationship with the client.
Definitely.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So then on the topic of pain and psychology, the psychology behind pain, how do you address, like those go hand in hand, don't they, really? So if somebody's in pain, there's usually underlying factors as well that are associated with the pain. Would that be a similar thing then in that situation where you sit down, you build rapport with the patient, you try and understand by asking questions like why, until you get to the reason as to why?
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a big one, but
it's a big topic.
Without going down like I'll also working with psychologists a lot of the time, particularly if it's affecting other areas of their life. But when we're starting to look at chronic pain, and we start looking at the biopsychosocial model, and we go, what we like is a biological.
Yep.
Right? Questions that then often lead into the other things around pain, around that neurological. And when I say neurological, I start thinking about more the limbic system, more of our threat response systems and whether we can override that. Are we using the correct techniques to override it? Are we recovering, like we talk about
the whoop.
The whoop and using biometrics, which this keeps me on a certain path because it's not that I've had chronic pain, but I get anxious, you get stressed, but you can always go back and go, well, that's a neurological response to me not having the capacity to deal with my environment. Pain is you not having the capacity to deal with potential or actual threat. So what can I do that's going to support you in order to down-regulate that threat response? Now, there's fantastic studies around in social settings. There's actually a great documentary with Chris Hemsworth, Limitless.
Yeah.
And they've put TENS machines on them, and they're seeing what their pain threshold is, right? Now, when they're doing it individually, their threshold's actually quite low. But when they're playing a game of Jenga and they're laughing,
it goes up.
Goes as high up as it can go, right? So your social settings, your interaction, the people you hang around with, the people that make you feel safe, the people who are in your corner. I know when, like recently I had a huge amount of anxiety and you start to identify very quickly who's in your corner.
Yeah.
And when they're there for you,
it helps calm things down.
Everything goes away.
Yep.
And the people who you think might be there for you, who then are at an arm's distance and they're not there to support you socially, you then start building up this anxiousness and you start realising, why was I spending energy over here when I need that network around me? So I start asking around social networks, how much time do you spend on yourself? Like, you're a business owner, what do you do for fun?
Yeah.
Hard question.
It's a good way to get to know someone though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, so we go through that. We'll talk about, I won't go down experiences too much because that starts going down the psychological path, and if you open up a can of worms, you need to be able to deal with that. Some people just open up completely to the point where I've always got tissues in the room ready to go.
Yeah.
And when they cry, I don't try and fix it. I just let them know I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. If you need any more support, let me know. I can hook you up with someone. Because people aren't vulnerable enough today. I think vulnerability is a superpower, something I've learned. I was always very stoic. I didn't want to talk to people.
Yeah.
You know, growing up in a Lebanese family, you know, like there's a stoicism.
There is. It's a cultural thing.
It's cultural, right?
And as I've gotten a bit older as well, I've understood this a lot more too, where vulnerability is a superpower. On that note, we see it a lot downstairs. We see patients that come in and they are quite emotional, and it happens to me quite a lot where I connect with somebody quite easily, and they just open up and tell you everything about their lives, and they start crying. And you can ask Antonia, every day there's at least one person that walks out the room that has been in tears. The way I approach it is very similar, where I let them, or I give them the opportunity to be vulnerable. And then I told them similar sort of thing. I'm here if you need anything. I give them a tissue and I give them a minute until they collect themselves. I guess in that instance, that's sufficient. If it gets worse than that, what do you typically do? Do you refer them out to someone?
Yeah, definitely. So what I often will then do, just the way our systems are designed in Australia, is if it's psychological support they want, that's not a problem. I've got connections. What I'll usually do is I will provide the information to the client and let them book it, unless they specifically ask me to book it, because it's about giving power back to the client. If it's a little bit more, I won't say sinister, but if it's a little bit more threatening to their health, I'll ask them to actually go and talk to their doctor, and I'll write a referral to the doctor, or just a letter. Because then what we might have to do is then looking at care plans and things like that. So then there's some financial support, and we build a team around the individual. And I explain it that way. Let's build a team around you. You're the owner, you're the boss of this, but we're all on your side. You're the director. You let us know what you need. But this is my suggestion. But you can say no. Like, that's fine. You have autonomy. You've got complete control to say no. And give them that permission. And then when people, it's interesting, when people start making appointments,
they're more committed.
They're committed, but also it downregulates their threat response. So there's even good studies to show that, say for example, if it's a chiropractic appointment, right? And if they're in chronic pain, but they book their next session, because they've already booked their next session, they know they're going to see you again, whether they need it or not. People often turn up and they go, it's interesting, I don't have any pain today on the day I'm seeing you, but I promise it's there. Right? People go to the dentist, this tooth has been killing me, but I'm here today. I don't know. Because psychologically we know we've taken action to make change. So our threat system downregulates because we know we're in a safe place. Where Sam's going to help me. Do you know what I mean? So that's really interesting in that aspect too, is having a plan and certainty in place also creates a safe environment, downregulates.
Well, this is something that we try and focus on a lot as well with our patients, is making sure that we map out the journey for a patient when they first come to see us. So if they've got a specific injury or condition, we say to them, this is what you've got, this is typically how long it takes before it gets better, this is our plan moving forward. And when you give the patient that information, again, it puts them at ease a little bit because they've been told what's wrong with them and they've been given a plan and an action moving forward. Plan of action moving forward.
So like, and that's
a lot of the psychology based by the sounds of it, isn't it?
So if you look up David Rock's work, it's called the SCARF model. And it's an acronym for status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. And it's the way I used to run all the practices. Status in that the way you're dressed today, the way I'm dressed, is the way I treat clients.
Same.
It's the same. Because if I put on a white coat, you get white coat hypertension. Now I've created a shift in the hierarchy. Now, and then people say, but they're there for your professional help. I go, we're human. I've got knowledge, they've got knowledge.
I 100% agree with that, by the way.
Yeah, we're on the same level. We're just people connecting. That's it. And if I can connect, step one done. Then we're going to see certainty, what you do here. When you come in, we're going to assess you. We're going to try and work out what's going on. Then we're going to give you a plan. You've got control of this plan because I need your consent, right? And it's probably going to take this long. So you've created certainty on how long.
Yep.
When can I return to activity? Probably this time. There's some level of certainty. And it's the same thing when we're talking about kids, is that by having a routine, it actually down-regulates a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
Because having structure in a kid's day creates certainty. When you go on holidays, why do they act up?
There's no routine, there's no structure.
Routine.
Yep.
You've taken away certainty. We need certainty to have a certain level of freedom, right? So then certainty in the clinic, the staff would all know expectations, right? Clients would know exactly what you're doing here, right? Autonomy. You're taking care of a client, but at the end of the day, it's the client who has to take control of their health. You educate them, gives them autonomy. Your team. You're not going to micromanage everyone. It's the quickest way to lose people.
Yep.
You give them autonomy. There's a structure, but hey, you can do whatever you want as long as it's within this structure, right? Then we have relatedness. When you talk to people, people can relate to you. Right? You can bring up stories here and there to create a connection. If there's a cultural relatedness, if it's the fact there's kids or you're playing a sport and you can relate to someone, you build up that rapport even more. And then the final one is fairness. Is that regardless who walks through your front doors or into a Pilates studio or into our education at Imbalance, there is fairness across the board. I'm not going to treat one person different to another. I might greet them slightly differently, depending on if I know them. One might get a hug, handshake, but I'm not going to give them any special treatment because I need it to be fair in an environment that we're working within.
Yeah.
So I've seen it multiple times when there's a practice manager at the front, when I've walked into clinics and they're talking to someone repeatedly, and then someone walks in like, hi, take a seat, saying it won't be long, right? I'm not saying it happens. And then they sit down and they're just talking to that person constantly. Instead of creating a fair environment where you're engaging, because then you're including them into discussion. It brings the stress and anxiety down. I've seen a practitioner. So by the time a practitioner comes out, they already feel at ease. Do you know what I mean?
You've summed that up quite nicely.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, that's a lot of those things we've tried to implement here. And it's those little things that make a big difference in both the way the patient feels when they walk through the door, but then how they feel walking out and the level of confidence they have in their treatment.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the experience, right? You're creating an experience. And it's always got a, HAIL is another acronym I like.
Yeah.
It's like, always be honest when you talk to people. Always be authentic. One of your values, integrity.
Yeah.
What do you reckon the L is?
Love.
Do everything from a place of love.
Yeah.
Which I love because people say I like conflict. I like to ruffle feathers, but I don't. I'm curious. So when I challenge things, I always want to do it from a place of love and respect. If I ask someone a question that challenges a belief, please understand it's from a place of love. I'm not like a belief. Someone's belief is always right.
Yeah.
It's their belief.
Yeah.
But if I challenge it, it's a place from love to try and understand it myself. Not to upset you, but just so I understand it. So if you believe drawing your belly button to your spine is going to create more stability, that's okay for you to believe that. My curious mind says, explain how that happens. Because I want to understand it, because this is what I believe. Now, if we can have a civil conversation about this and have conflict, because I say conflict, and if we play a word association game, good or bad, what's conflict?
It's always bad. Yeah.
Right. But conflict can be good.
I think you understand that more when you have kids as well.
Conflict is brilliant.
Yeah.
But if you look at the 5 levels of a team, right? There's a great book, The 5 Levels of a Dysfunctional Team. The second level is conflict. To have conflict, what do you need underneath it?
Trust.
Trust. Trust is your foundation to everything we do.
Yep.
And if I trust you, I'll sit with my dad, and obviously we love and trust each other. And we'll debate and we'll go through conflict and it'll get heated, but we'll get to an outcome. And then 30 seconds later, there's no remorse. We're not upset with each other because we trust each other.
I've said this to the team many times. Like, if you have an issue with someone, it's okay to argue about it, like to an extent. families argue with each other all the time, but at the end of the day, they come together because they trust and love each other.
Yep.
Yep.
And conflict is what grows your business.
That's right. Yep.
When people are quiet because they're worried about conflict and creating an issue,
Yep.
your business will suffer. I've seen it too many times. But when you've got love and trust and people can come to you and go, Sam, I've got an issue with something. And you sit there and go, please, come tell me.
Yep.
And there's a bit of conflict back and forward. Now, the person's not always going to get what they want. But if they get a bit of that and you see eye to eye, okay, I can understand that, but understand now financially we need to do it this way and blah, blah, blah. But at least they've had the opportunity to sit at your table and express their concern.
Yep.
And you listened on a status that is horizontal.
Yep.
They go, I feel respected.
Yeah.
So now you can start making change. And this is where it's the same thing with the client. It's the same thing with your staff, family members. Trust to have conflict to better relationships.
So all these things about talking about how we should treat patients and the way we should be fair with our patients and treat the team seems like common practice, or like it should be common practice, but unfortunately, it isn't always the case.
Unfortunately not. I think ego is a big problem in our profession, across many professions. I'll say it. I think our associations have a lot to answer for.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of hidden agendas. I think there's a lot of self-serving people within a lot of professions who are after lucrative outcomes, which I'm okay with if it's done ethically.
If it's done ethically and fairly and honestly, and there's nothing wrong with that. People have got to make it
honestly, authentically, with integrity and with love, and for the betterment of others. Like, always be useful. Always, what I'll always teach my boys is like, whatever you do, love people, but be useful, like help people. We don't know what everyone's going through.
Yep.
Right? How hard is it to be nice to someone?
It's not very hard at all.
It's not hard.
And it
at all.
doesn't cost you anything either.
You might have changed someone's life just by saying hello to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there hurting.
Yep.
A lot of people. The people who come and see us are a fraction. And they're the brave ones with financial assistance or enough finance to see us. Makes it a very small percentage of the population that we get to work with.
That's right.
So imagine everyone's out there walking around.
Yeah.
And you're like, what else can we do except... Because we go, Sam, what do you do? If I had to ask you, what do you do?
Yeah, good question. I like to think that I help people move better, feel better. The way I approach treatment is probably different to a lot of other people out there in our profession. I can't even count how many times I've let someone go without them paying for their service. But I treat them the same way I treat my mum, dad, or family member.
So you hear all the values come up there. Now if I said to you, who are you?
A lot of people will associate their job with who they are.
Yeah.
And that's my first thought, to say I'm a chiropractor. But if I thought about it more deeply, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I've got 2 beautiful kids, and that's who I am.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting how when I ask you who you are, you had to pause?
Yeah.
But when I say what, you can tell me what you do.
Yeah.
Because there's no verbal language to emotion. If your kids are upset and you say, why are you upset?
They can't communicate it sometimes.
What happened that made you upset? Changes it.
Yeah, true.
So hit me and then
That's
I'm
a good
upset.
point. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So I feel what's really interesting as practitioners now is that you've got a degree that says you're a chiropractor. And then we go, who am I? I'm Sam, a chiropractor. You're like, no, you're a family man, beautiful kids, beautiful family, loving, good, honest values, a lot of integrity, helping people. You're there to support, you're an empath. This is who you are. You just so happen to do a couple of methods.
Yeah.
But the underlying principle to who you are is you're values driven.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like if we can get this message across all professions, accountants, you're helping people live a better life. It's got to be value driven. It can't be driven by the coin. It can't be driven by the opportunity, like pain makes someone vulnerable. which means you can market to someone who's very vulnerable. When I was deep in anxiety, I was looking up every app and spent probably $200 on apps to help me get out of my anxiety. They did nothing for me, right? And this, unfortunately, is where I see the health professions going, is that they prey on the weak. Where clinics like yours, and what we've done in our careers to date, is we go the other way. We try and remove fragility and create strength and opportunity for people.
And with that, the money will come. If you do things the right way, the byproduct of that naturally will be that you'll get busier and you'll see more people. And
and then look, and the money comes, and then what COVID taught me is how much is enough. How much is enough?
That's what COVID taught me and my kids as well. You put things into perspective and you have to sit down and think exactly that, how much is enough? Why do we need to keep chasing more?
Be happy.
Yes.
Be happy.
Love it. Okay. Well, one last question then.
Yes.
I had a few more questions to ask you, but that was a really important message that I think we should get across to everyone, and it doesn't matter what profession that you're in. I think everyone's values should be tied to being honest and genuine in what they do and their approach. But if you had, say, 30 seconds with somebody, man or woman, because you come from like a health, fitness and medical background, if you had 30 seconds with someone, what's the most important thing that you think they should be doing right now to improve their health and longevity?
In 30 seconds?
In 30 seconds.
All right, ready? Find consistency in whatever you do and routine. Make sure you have enough capacity in your cup to deal with other people's energy. The most important person in your life is you. And if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else around you. So make sure your cup is full or has the capacity to take on other people's energy. Otherwise you will break. And this is a lesson I learned personally just recently, is that take care of you first, because you're the most important person in your world. And it sounds selfish, but if you want to be the best father you can be, you need to be solid to take care of your kids. So make time for you, rest, recover. Stillness isn't a bad thing. We don't always need to work. Be okay with enough.
Love it. Thanks,
That's
Luke.
what I'd say. Awesome.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure.
Legend, thank you.
Awesome work, guys.